There are video games, and then there are promises, myths, visions of a future so detailed, so immersive and so seductive, they stop being entertainment and become a destination. A place we feel we need to live in. For a generation of gamers, that place was Night City. This is the first act in our story. The dream. For nearly a decade, Cyberpunk 2077 wasn't just a game in development. It was the most ambitious piece of world building ever attempted. It promised a living, breathing, seamless metropolis, a vertical world of corporate gods and street-level dreamers. A place where you could be anyone, do anything. The marketing was a masterpiece of myth-making. Every cinematic trailer, every developer deep dive, every Night City Wire episode was a brushstroke on a perfect canvas. They weren't selling a product. They were selling a future. A future where the lines between cinema, literature, and interactive experience would finally be erased. The hype was unprecedented. It became more than a game. It became a cultural event, a benchmark against which all future digital worlds would be measured. It was, in every sense of the word, the ultimate sci-fi dream, a lost future that we were all about to find. The promise was perfect. The stage was set, and on December 10, 2020, the world held its breath, ready to jack in to what they believed would be paradise. And then, we logged in. This is the second act of our story. The collapse. The beautiful, living, breathing city we were promised was a ghost town, a stunningly beautiful facade, haunted by a legion of digital demons. The launch of Cyberpunk 2077 wasn't just a failure. It was a cultural reckoning. It became a global case study in the dangerous gap between a digital dream and a broken reality. The promised seamless immersion was shattered by a storm of game-breaking bugs, abysmal performance on consoles, and an open world that felt empty. The internet, once the engine of the game's hype, became its executioner. Memes of cars clipping through walls, of faceless NPCs, and of the now iconic T-pose became the new symbols of Night City. They were the digital graffiti left on the walls of a forgotten future. The backlash was unprecedented. The game was pulled from the PlayStation Store. Lawsuits were filed. And the company behind it, once revered as heroes of the industry, saw its reputation collapse overnight. The dream wasn't just dead. It had become a punchline. The most anticipated future in a decade had arrived. But it was a ghost. A beautiful, broken, and deeply lonely simulation of a world that was never truly there. The lost future had been found, and it was a warning. For most stories, this would be the end. A cautionary tale of hubris and failure, but the story of Night City is different. This is the third act of our story, the resurrection. For 2 years, the developers worked in silence, releasing massive patches, fixing a broken world line by line of code. They were rebuilding a lost future from the inside out. And then, a spark, a ghost from a different machine. The anime Cyberpunk Edgerunners was a revelation. It wasn't about the game's mechanics or its bugs. It was about its soul. It captured the heart, the tragedy, and the beautiful, desperate humanity of living and dying in Night City. The anime did what the game at launch could not. It made us feel the promise. Millions of players returned, not to a broken game, but to a world they now had a reason to care about. And for those returning players, a new city awaited. The 2.0 update and the Phantom Liberty expansion were a top-to-bottom reinvention. The systems were deeper, the AI was smarter, and the world finally felt alive. Phantom Liberty itself was a masterclass in cyberpunk storytelling, a tense, paranoid, spy thriller that delivered the kind of deep, branching narrative that was promised from the very beginning. The dream wasn't just fixed, it was reborn. The ghost town was finally becoming a living city. This very cycle of a future promised, a future lost, and a future rebuilt is a story we are obsessed with here at The Future Past. It's the archaeological proof that even our digital ghosts can find a second chance. If you believe these stories of resurrection are essential, consider subscribing to our channel. Your support rebuilds our world every day. So what is the final lesson from the ruins and the rebirth of Night City? This is the ghost in the machine of the Cyberpunk 2077 saga. It is a perfect, modern parable about our relationship with the future. It teaches us that the futures we are sold, gleaming and perfect in cinematic trailers, will almost always break upon the shores of reality. But it also teaches us something more profound. In our digital age, a future is no longer a fixed point in time. It is a piece of software. It can be patched, it can be updated, and it can be resurrected. The story of Cyberpunk 2077 is the ultimate story of a second chance. It is a mirror for all our digital dreams. Spectacular in their promise, often disappointing in their first release, but always holding the potential for a surprising and sometimes beautiful redemption. Here at the Future Past, we believe that excavating these new kinds of lost futures, the ones born not of steel but of code, is our most essential work. They are the myths of our digital age, the blueprints for the worlds we are all increasingly choosing to inhabit.